All right, everyone. One of the funniest things so far in the lead up here to the midterms has really been how mad the Democratic Party's gotten at the GOP putting out ads that basically have something to do with Hillary Clinton. They use a clip from her or statements like quotes from her or just her image in general. And they're like, hey, Hillary Clinton's not running for office. What are you doing? Well, the funny part is this. This is why it's hilarious. This has escaped notice. Trump's also not running for election. He doesn't have to do that until 2020. He's not running for a Senate seat in the midterms, and yet every other ad, every other reference made by the Democratic Party in these races is, hey, Trump is evil for some reason. Trump will collapse the economy. You know, they don't say that as much anymore, but they did. Trump is a bigot. Trump's voters are bad people or whatever. So it is sort of a what's good for the goose is good for the gander situation when you think about it. Trump is not a candidate in the current political climate. He's an incumbent who doesn't have to run right now. The one big connection with Trump, I suppose, above and beyond like what Clinton would have, is he's actually in office, in the same office that she wanted to be in. She wishes she could go and steal more cutlery from the White House, maybe, but didn't quite get it. But here's the big thing, on a more serious note. Hillary Clinton is the most recognizable Democrat. A lot of people don't know who the head of the DNC is. Yes, who is the leader of the Democratic National Committee? Hillary Clinton? Yeah, you'd probably have more people guess Hillary Clinton than Tom Perez. So there's no other recognizable, Pelosi maybe. Pelosi's kind of an afterthought these days, but she is kind of like Hillary Clinton in the sense that she says insane, off-the-wall things. Like, Clinton used to just say evil things. Now she also says nutty things. Like, she blames, feminists for the fact that she lost the election, or she blames socialists, or she blames the DNC, which, I'm sure went over really, really well with her friends over there. She probably had to call them once she sobered up and say, oh, I didn't really mean it. I was just having a bad day. Please forgive me. By the way, please donate. Buy more copies of my books. Tell the candidates to go sell them at their rallies. That'd be an interesting gimmick. Hillary Clinton should try that. She should use that Clinton power and say, oh, yeah, we can help your campaign a little bit behind the scenes with some, server problems or whatever. Don't worry about it too much. But here, you got to sell Hillary Clinton's new book, I Should Have Been the President and Shame on You for Not Voting for Me, because that's what it boils down to. The real thing is this, though. Hillary Clinton keeps putting herself out there in a political sense. It wasn't even a week ago. She was, the Gateway project over there for that rail tunnel they were going to build between New Jersey and New York. Now, how the hell does this have anything to do with Hillary Clinton? She's not running for office or representing anything in New Jersey or New York at this point. She was a senator for New York a long time ago. She's been in national office for the most part. It's been a long time since she was in the legislature. And she's acting like, oh, well, I need to weigh in on this, definitely. It's almost like she wishes so much that she was the president that at this point she's humoring her weird fans who write like fanfic about Madam President. They actually have like websites and they pretend they make mock-ups as though she was elected because they're like, well, she won the popular vote. It was his turn. Her turn. Hashtag resist. And they have a big problem with the fact that she lost. And they're still hoping. It's like that, I think it was Salon, wasn't it, months and months ago. They said, oh, Hillary Clinton can still end up president. Here's how. All that has to happen is Trump is impeached, Pence steps down, and Paul Ryan decides that she should be the president of the United States and gives it over to her because, it's what's right. It's magic. Not the way it works, but in La La Land, I suppose it makes a lot of sense, right? And that shows there's a similarity between some parts of the Clinton fan base and Clinton. Insane people. It's at least one voting block she definitely capitalized on. Insane, as in people who thought it was a good idea to call a large swath of the country deplorable. Good job, Hillary. You sunk your own campaign, then blamed everyone else for it. It was a laughingstock. So the DNC can be angry. The Democratic candidates, the reason why they have a problem with this is Hillary Clinton is so unlikable. That if you get people riled up and say, oh, basically all these other Democrats are like Clinton, they're just, maybe less insane, they're capable of holding ground in a debate maybe or something. It is helpful. By the way, the Republicans right now actually have a problem because they're starting to be outraised and outspent in certain parts of the midterms. significantly. Especially the Democrats are focusing really, really hard on protecting what they have in the Senate. I think they're terrified. They're not so worried about the House. They're going to gain seats there, probably some large degree of them. I don't think that they flip the House, but they're going to make gains there. As far as the Senate, though, the Democrats are going into hyperdrive, and the Republicans really need to be worried about that. That would be more of a death knell for the Republicans. They would end up being, it would be a blue wave if they start suffering high attrition in the Senate. I don't see that happening. I think the Republicans probably gain a seat or two there under most scenarios, but it wouldn't look good. It definitely wouldn't look good, and it would, if they lose, even one seat, I believe it's a tie in the Senate. They've only got an advantage of a seat. So they need to work harder. The Republicans need to work. What they should be doing is asking Trump for money. They should be saying, hey, you could bankroll literally every fucking Senate campaign single-handedly. Can we have some help here? We'll give you some help in talking to our friends across the aisle and give them a few breadcrumbs and you'll get your wall or something. That would probably be the best thing for the GOP to do. As far as the Democrats, though, they've got to defend, 2-1, or I think it's closer to 3-1 in the Senate. Which is difficult at best, even if you are outraising. Look, Clinton outraised and outspent Trump 4-1. For a while, it was 10-1 during the early stages of the race, and she still ended up losing. So it's not a magical cure-all if you outraise your opponent. You've also got to realize, I believe in some of these midterm races, the Democrat, if you have an incumbent Democrat and you have 3 or 4 primary challengers because they smell blood, maybe it's a weaker Democrat. Yeah, they're probably going to be outraised until their primary is actually over, and which Republican is going to be running actually as the standard bearer. And I think Trump just came out against that coal executive there that was in prison. I think it's in the West Virginia race. He's like, remember Alabama? You chose the wrong person and they lost despite, being in a deep red state. They should have won handily, and it was a problem. By the way, yes, the Trump effect does play in a little bit into the Roy Moore thing, but it was really more about Roy Moore. It was really more about the candidates themselves. Trump should be more involved with these campaigns as well. If I had to give advice to him, I'd say get more involved, because it's going to reflect upon you. If the Republicans they hold the Senate, they manage to keep holding the House, even if they, really don't ultimately do very well, they're still lost power in parts of the House. Even if the Republicans manage to do okay, it's a reflection on the stability of your presidency. If they manage to lose the House, or God forbid lose the Senate, people are going to say, the blue wave is basically a referendum on Trump. Don't go down Obama's route. After the first 2 years, he really didn't do anything for the rest of his presidency, other than dick around with health care and the Cuba deal. That's really more or less what he did. He couldn't do anything else. He was continuously obstructed. Trump needs to, I think, hurry up and get his wall funding. I think the Democrats are hoping they take the House so they can perpetually block it. They're going to pull basically a Tea Party on Donald Trump, only this time it'll be the Pea Party. And it'll be really funny if that happens, and we'll have obstructed government, I guess, for 2 to 6 years. Trump can't afford to have that happen. He's got to understand. I know he can work with the Democrats arguably better than with some Republicans. Cough, cough, John McCain. Maybe true, but, it wouldn't reflect well on his capabilities. It wouldn't be good. Thankfully, at this point, the Republicans are starting to gain a little bit of wind back into their sails. They were heavily slated to lose across the board maybe a few months ago. They've managed to heal some of those wounds, and they're still slowly regenerating their capabilities. So give them time and we'll see what happens. We still have to monitor that before the 2020 election. We can't make a full prediction until we get the midterm results in. Then we can be a little bit more than just very, very tentative. But the DNC is being funny, and it does work. Because here's the thing. You run Clinton ads, and Clinton is a stand-in for basically generic, terrible, asshole neoliberal. That works. On the other hand, though, the Democrats will cry foul about it, and it'll, at least for the partisans, crying foul and whining about that won't be a problem, because you got to understand Trump is actually in office. It's a little bit of a difference. I do find it funny, though. They're worried about that, but Trump's not running either. No, they have to run against him in 2020, and then they get to hold on to their butts and hope that they manage to nominate someone who's sane. Nominate someone who's willing to allow their staff to do what their staff know how to do, essentially run a modern campaign as opposed to one that really reeks of the 80s or the 90s. And that's about all. Peace out.